The last speaker asked butter or bread. As you can tell, my answer is yes. For the last 24 years, I have been a father. And because of this young man, I got my start as a father right here in Abilene, Texas. And no, we didn't need to do a DNA test. And because of him and my youngest son, Joshua, being their father has been the absolute joy of my life. Most days, when they're not creeping me out. For the last 15 years, I've spent time as a professional working in fatherhood and father engagement. And in this field, so many people that I work with spend a lot of time talking about the problems of fatherlessness. It's almost like it's our marketing cry. You know, we talk about how many kids go to bed without a father in the home, and the plight of what happens when kids don't have their fathers around. And all those things are true. And the pain that children go through and the lack of better outcomes that they experience because the father is not there is what drives our work at Strong Fathers, Strong Families. Fatherlessness is a big deal. But going around talking about fatherlessness is the same thing as going around talking about cancer being bad. If you or anybody you love has ever had cancer, nobody needs to convince you that cancer is bad. If you've ever had it or know someone who's had it, you want a solution. You want it gone. You want it eradicated. You want a cure. And that's what people that deal with not having a father in their lives want as well. They don't need us to talk about what the pain is anymore. They want to know, what is the cure? And the cure is Father-FULL-ness. And I've spent the last 15 years and have been in front of over 175,000 dads face-to-face in school programs and Title I schools and Head Starts. And so what we have learned is that's what children want, that's what fathers want, and the thing is, it's so possible. It's so possible. And so I want to share with you the 3 principles of Father-FULL-ness and what that looks like. And so the first one is that fathers play a vital role in their child's development. And we pick these words very carefully because when I talk to people, say, oh, it's really great that dads are involved. Oh, it's really important that dads are involved. For children to reach their highest potential, for them to reach the destiny they were born to reach, their father's role is vital. For fathers to be involved in the child's development means that that child has a better opportunity to reach their highest potential. Even before birth, dads are important. No, not that. Okay. Conception, we're pretty vital for that too. But what I'm talking about is even before the child is born, if a father is engaged in that child's pregnancy, and if the dad is around, that mother is more likely to seek prenatal care, less likely to be involved in risky behaviors like drinking or smoking during pregnancy. And because the father was there prior to the birth of the child, she sees fewer complications in initial childbirth, and her child has a higher birth weight because the father was there. If the father was engaged in the life of this child prior to them coming into the world, his child is 4 times more likely to make it to their first birthday than those children whose fathers were not there. He is vital to their development even before they start their life on this planet. And so even after the child is born, we know fathers play a vital role. At 6 weeks, the children can tell the difference between their mother's face and their father's face, their mother's voice and their father's voice. And if things are calm, they will attend to their mother's voice more. And if the child is distressed, they will calm quicker to the dad's voice. At 8 weeks, in a landmark study done by Michael Yogman, who is a pediatrician at Boston Children's Hospital, put children in seats, hooked them up to wires, put them on a split screen. And as the mother came in and the child heard the mother's voice and saw their mother, their heart rate went down, their brain activity decreased, their hands and feet stopped moving, their shoulders dropped, their eyes drooped. Why? Because mothers are amazing. And every time mother comes in here, she picks me up the same way. And she calls me the same thing. Pumpkin, 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 pudding, pudding, pudding. Mijo, mijo, mijo. All right, all of you just about went, oh, mama. But we know moms are essential to that. But in that study, when the father showed up on the screen and the baby heard the father's voice, heart rate went up, brain activity increased, hands and feet started moving, eyes brightened. Why? We don't know what this dude's gonna do next. He doesn't even pick me up by the same limb twice. Mama warms the wipey. This guy, he's a 50-50 shot. It's exhilarating sometimes. And so we know that when the father is involved, the children at 8 weeks know there's something different about these two people. And when they walk in, I'm looking for something different. And so as that child grows, and as the father is involved from infancy and then as a toddler, we know that it's important to read to children. We know that it's important that mothers read to children. When mothers read to kids, they learn to read, they learn to love to read, they learn to love books. When fathers read to kids, they learn to read, they learn to love to read, and they learn to love books. And when fathers read to their kids' verbal skills can increase by up to 15%, which doesn't happen when moms read to them. And it doesn't mean that mom's doing something wrong, it means that dad's doing something different. Because see, when moms read, and many teachers are moms, and moms and teachers kind of read alike. And the big bad wolf said, little pig, let me in. And again, half of you just fell asleep because you're like, oh, I love it when my mom reads to me, right? And the kids do, and dad's asleep half the time also, right? But when dads read, we tend to read different. And when dads read, we say, and the big bad wolf said, little pig, let me in. And the kids are like, ah! And mom runs in, what's going on? We're reading, not like that. No, exactly like that. Because the kids know it and they need it. And so I tell that story at every Bring Your Dad to School Day because we found when we share that research with dads, they commit more to reading to their children on a more regular basis. If I ever find out the research is not true, I will still tell them. Because it makes them want to read to their kid because it's a specific role they have. I tell that story all the time. In a school a couple of years ago, the assistant principal heard me tell that to the dads, and she told me at the end of the program, that happened at my house just last week. And I said, well, tell me what happened. She goes, I'm walking past my daughter's room. My husband is wrapping the book to my daughter. I said, that's awesome. I said, did the book rhyme? She said, not at all. I said, that's even awesomer. All right? And I said, and your daughter hated it? She goes, no, she loved it. As a matter of fact, I can no longer read the book because I don't read like Daddy. She has the books that she can read, and we need moms to read to kids, but when dads read, something happens differently. And so as a child goes from being a toddler and goes to school, when a father knows who their teacher is, asks about homework, attends 2 to 3 events per year at the school, that child is more likely to get A's and B's, less likely to repeat a grade, more likely to be involved in extracurricular activities, and less likely to have trouble in the office. It's what got me into this work. I'm a recovering middle school principal. And so as we see that, as the dads are engaged in their education, those kids do better on every mark, sociability and everything. And so as a father is engaged even in secondary, in middle school and high school, that child is more likely to seek post-secondary education than a child that doesn't have a father engaged in their education. So much so that when, in this study that we talked about, that when children or the students self-reported that their father was very engaged, those kids were 98% more likely to graduate from college than those students that self-reported that their fathers weren't very engaged. Fathers make a huge role, a vital role in their child's development from infancy into adulthood. So we know that fathers have a very specific role to play. That's what father-fullness looks like. And so another principle is that fathers are and can be present in a child's life. It is true that there are lots of kids in our country that go to bed without a father in their home, but that it's not that they don't have a father. Let me give you a very important statistic. 100% of the kids in our country have a father. Do I need to explain that? It makes it really awkward, but I can do it. And that's not to bring about pain for those that don't experience their father in their lives. But we know that these fathers will be available and can be available. This man right here, Rene Villarreal, lives in San Antonio, Texas. His son goes to school in Van, Texas. It is a 5-hour drive from San Antonio to Van. We did 4 programs in Van ISD during the year, dad and kid events that we do. And Renee made all 4 events, 5 hours up, 5 hours back, on top of his visitation. And on a regular basis, almost daily, we have dads that will drive anywhere from 3 to 8 hours away or longer to be with their child at these school events because they want the opportunity, and the children invite them. This year alone in Dallas-Fort Worth, the programs that we've had dads from Chicago, Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, and Alaska. We've had deployed dads in the military that have actually Skyped in and sat next to their kid in an iPad and watched the teacher teach that day. So we know dads want to be involved. That's what father-fullness looks like. And so what we know is, in our programs over the last 13 years, when we do a Bring Your Dad to School Day, over 65%, or right at 65% of the kids in the school will bring a father or father figure to this event. Consistently, 100 kids in a school, 700 kids in a school, we hit about 65%. These kids know their father, or they know where their father is, or they know who they would like to play that father as a father figure. Even in our toughest neighborhoods that we work with, Head Start did a study, and they found in tough inner city neighborhoods, 60%, actually over 60% of the kids in that Head Start had regular access to their fathers, even though they didn't all live with their fathers. On a weekly or monthly basis, these kids are seeing their dads. What we know is if we can catch them at that time frame, in that 3 to 5, we know we're more likely to keep them engaged. And so in the study that I cited earlier about education, they found that even in that study, 75% of the kids with non-resident fathers had still seen their father in the last year. And no, we don't want our kids just to see their fathers, once a year, but that's not what the study says. It says at least 75% of them had seen them in a year. And what these fathers need and what they're looking for is the opportunity to be more engaged. And so that's what father-fullness looks like. And we know that fathers will engage in the right opportunities. That's what we do. And so it's got to be a father-specific activity. So we do dad and kid math nights, dad and kid reading nights, dad and kid science nights, bring your dad to school day. Everything we do is about those dads and kids working together. So it's got to be father-specific. Moms come all the time, but it's built for dads. And so what happens is we know that it's got to be interactive. Dads want to do stuff. Dads learn by doing, but dads teach by doing. Dads teach through play. So everything we do, we play cards for math night. We make mousetrap catapults and shoot marshmallows across the cafeteria for science night. Okay? We do all those things, and so they can interact with their child, but they can also interact with the other fathers and kids on that campus or in that community. It also has to be relational. They want to build a relationship with their child, and this is a perfect opportunity to do that. Where we're not having real heavy talks, we're just spending time together, which can help us lead to those more heavy talks. And so it's got to be relational, both with the father and the child, and the father and child with other fathers and kids, so that we're building community at the same time. And it's got to be relevant. It's got to help that father help their kid. Our tagline is strengthening fathers and families to build stronger kids. And that's what we're trying to do. And so it's got to mean something. I have a lot of schools that tell me, oh, we have dads come, we have dads and donuts. Have you seen a dad that needs another donut? But dad's going into the classroom, dad's watching how that kid's learning, watching how that kid's being taught, how they react among their peers, how we're using technology in the classroom, that's relevant to dads. How their children are performing among their peers is relevant to dads. Things they can do to help their child be more successful, that's relevant to dads. And so we know we have to have those pieces. This is science night at Crane ISD. Crane ISD is about 2.5 hours west of here in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert. And this is what science night looks like there. Cafeteria is full, standing room only, even had fathers and kids in the hallway. And not only do we have fathers and kids in the hallway, they stayed engaged with us the whole time. This is a regular occurrence for us. We are always finding more chairs because the dads are showing up in such large numbers. The dads are there and they want that opportunity. And they'll do goofy things like blow on pieces of paper to talk about the Bernoulli principle. All right, and make paper airplanes and make their kids giggle. And so that's what father-fullness looks like. It doesn't matter whether they're African American dads, Anglo dads, Hispanic dads, Asian dads. We don't have any group that is a challenge to us because we find that every group of dads wants to be engaged. And even though some of these dads may have different economic and cultural challenges, they all show up in the numbers represented on that campus. And so we don't have one group that we struggle with. All we have to do is invite them and they come. That's what father-fullness looks like. And so as you hear those things about fatherlessness, I want you to know that that is a problem. It's a real deal. We see pain in children all the time. But we know that's what we want to fix. And so we want to promote father-fullness. And we're not saying that one parent is better than another. We're saying that two parents should work together to build better kids. And we're not saying that we just want to fill up rooms and get attendance and, high kumbaya ratings. We want to help parents work together to build stronger kids. And if we want children to reach their fullest potential, if we want children to have every opportunity to be exactly who they want to be, who they should be as adults, then it's not just that being, father engagement or father-fullness is nice. It's not just that father-fullness is important. If we want to see the best for the children in our country, then father-fullness is imperative. Thank you.